Hey guys, Tyler Hooks here with JConcepts, and we are bringing you a little bit more information about the Recon tire. Obviously the guys have been running this tire in basically a pre-production stage for over a year now. We've had a lot of people ask questions, you know, where's the tire? Why is it that only those guys can get it? And at JConcepts, we believe that if we can make something better, that we can improve on it. We want to make those improvements, try to make those changes to give the end customer the best product that we can before they get to run it themselves. And we saw some changes that needed to be made from the initial Recon that was ran last year at the 1/8 scale Nitro Nationals at Adobe. And those changes have been made, and now it's time to actually introduce the production Recon to the public. Now this tire has not such a dense tread as what you would see with, you know, a Reflex or Stalker or something similar to that. The pins are a little bit more spread out. The pins are symmetrical from the top of the pin all the way to the bottom of the pin. And what it does is it allows for a lot more independent pin flex as the pins are further spread out from each other. And then you have these lines in there where there is no pin, and that's going to allow dirt to kind of move in and out of the channels and not have the tire itself get caked up as much. On the sides of the tire itself is actually directional. So for those of you that are getting Recons for the first time or maybe haven't gotten them before, make sure you pay attention to the fact that the sidewalls of the tire are directional. So if you can run it this way, for example, where the diagonal lines head forward, or you can flip it around and run it where the diagonal lines head backwards. And the best way that we can describe is if this is the front of the car and this is the back of the car, and your tire's on the right side, so it's going to spin this direction. When you run it this way with the angled pins heading forward, it's typically going to add a little bit more side bite, a little bit more steering support. It's going to make the tire a little bit more reactive. And if you want to try it the other way, which would basically be, you would run the tire right front and it would go this direction, spin forward, with the diagonal parts of the tire going back. That's going to have a little bit less side bite, be a little bit more forgiving. And that's really the only thing that makes it directional, is just the pins on the side. Everything else in the center is symmetrical, and so the major difference being that sidewall, which allows you to have two different options. I mean, it's never really going to make or break whether you run it one direction or another, but it does have different characteristics, much like our Sprinter tire, which is where that design idea came from. So what we're going to do for the rest of the video is we're going to take some time to chat with a couple of our drivers, talk about their experiences with the tire. Obviously the tire had an incredible first half of the year last year when we first debuted it, had great results at Nitro Challenge, was able to get the Nitro Nationals win, and had great results at Silver State as well. And now we're really excited to see it in its production form. The changes that we want are done. We're really excited to get it out to the public and have everybody get their hands on it. So stay tuned, we'll talk to some of the guys, and we'll give you a little bit more information on the Recon tire. All right guys, as part of our Recon video for JConcepts, we brought in Adam Drake, probably the man who has the most amount of testing with this tire, whether it was at the Nationals or at his home track, Thunder Alley, or any of the other SoCal tracks. So Adam, we kind of just wanted to talk to you about the two different ways that you can run the tire and what you prefer. And to make it easiest on everybody, we like to kind of show the front versus the back of the car. So we'll say that closer to here is the front of the car, closer to where we're at is the back of the car. So then you have a tire on the right front. So this way was kind of what we were talking about earlier in the video, where you have the angled pins facing front. So if you're looking from where you guys are, so front of the car to the back of the car, it's kind of like the tire's frowning at you. When you run the tire like this, what do you notice?
So to me, that's the orientation that I run the tire in the most. I feel like it has the most overall grip. If you flip the tire around, it's a little bit smoother, not quite as like grabby in the bumps. You have a little bit less side bite. So it just depends on the characteristics of your car and also the track conditions you're running in. But in most conditions, I would always start in the other orientation. Again, that's going to have the most side bite and just overall kind of the most grip. But if that's a little bit too grabby or edgy, you can try flipping the tires around. And you can even flip the tires just in the front or just in the rear, depending on where you feel your car is grabbing. In most cases, you would always run it the same orientation, front and rear, but it is another option that if you feel like the rear, you need that extra side bite, but the front's just a little bit too grabby in the bumps, you could flip just the fronts.
Right. So, where have you found that you use these tires the most? What kind of track surface or condition are you looking for? You're like, I want to run a Recon.
Like for me, like at the dirt, I run them a lot, especially when the layout is either new or freshly groomed. So basically when the track has a little bit looser dirt, a little kind of more sandy, kind of like kitty litter that you have to kind of cut through the dust and you want to have good forward bite, there's enough spacing and for the tire to kind of like almost paddle through that loose dirt. Once the track gets a little bit more clean, you would switch to more like a reflex or you know, a little bit smaller pin tire, but this is really good, especially if it's like we call it a green track or a little bit looser dirt.
All right, well, thank you, Adam, for taking the time to talk to us. We are here with Dakota Finn, and we are talking about the Recon. And you were kind of the first person who brought, say, glory to the pre-production Recon at the 2022 Nitro Nationals at Adobe Raceway. You ran it in qualifying, and you ran it in the main event. What were you getting from the tire that made it better than any of our other options, or what was the track doing that you're like, this is what I want?
Yeah, one thing I really like about the Recon, it's just how the pin flex is. It gives a lot of forward drive out of the corner, and with Nationals being a little bit of a tighter track and a lot of short sections there, you needed to accelerate. I was able to accelerate really good through the bumps, and even just through the smooth sections as well. Tire has really good grip, and it also has really good wear. I think just because there is so much pin flex, it kind of folds over, and you're able to get the drive out of the corner and get that good wear as well.
And what we were seeing kind of at that track is that it was a bit of an anomaly. It was really hard, but it was also very rough. And when it was in the blown out sections, it was really dusty. So trying to find a tire that was going to work in that situation was obviously going to be really difficult. But it seems like the pin flex and the way that the pins kind of shift and move around was actually beneficial for all of the different parts.
Yeah.
So I guess the last question, or the question to go with that, is which direction did you actually run the tire? Like, let's say this is the front of the car, this is the back of the car, so this is the right front. Which direction did you run?
Yep.
Just like this?
Yep, that'll be the right front. This will be the left front here. I think that's how pretty much everyone runs it. Just with how this outside-inside pattern are, it really gives you, like I said, that forward drive out of the corner. And tire's really consistent, like you said, in all conditions. There's a lot of space here for all the dust to go through, some of the loam. And then, like I said, it has really good drive out of the corners. You're able to get through all the chop. And surprising with all the pin flex that there is, it really doesn't catch a lot of the ruts. So you're able to really drive through it and pick your lines really well.
And I guess the other thing to tell people, or to ask you, is that because it does have a lot of pin flex, it acts like it's really soft. Have you felt like you've been able to run harder compounds when in other tread patterns you couldn't?
Yeah, that's a great point. So that's another thing. It also helps with the wear. So at Nationals we ran blues, which it was pretty cold there as well, and at night. We were able to get away with running blues just because of that pin flex.
All right, well, big thank you to Dakota for stopping by, giving us a little bit of insight to the tire. And yeah, that's about it.